This show is proudly brought to you by the Hashtag Me Network.
And now, Hashtag Radio NZ.
/./////////com.
Welcome to the Hashtag Radio Day 2 special of Ignite New Zealand 2015.
Yeah, it was pretty full on today.
It was for us. We were in interviews all day.
Yeah. But it was some really interesting people. So we spoke to, first up was Darren Joyce.
Yeah, Darren.
Was it?
And well, what did Darren do again?
So Darren is the lead technical for Miss University.
Ah, yeah, that's right. So he was going on about the challenges of moving to the cloud as a form of, as a education provider.
Yeah, and some of the challenges that he faced and all that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Then we were actually bumped by James Staton straight afterwards.
Yeah, oh, well, it was fair enough reason. He got lost between floors.
Yep. So
what I actually think he did, I don't think he, got lost. I think he found the food bar.
Yeah, that was an impressive food bar.
Yeah. And so that
gave us more time to speak to Ethan, who ended up being one of the better interviews of the day.
Yeah, he was an amazing dude. So he was really young. I forgot to actually ask how old he was. So he works for Microsoft Research. So when I saw that he actually worked for Microsoft Research, I thought this was going to be really boring.
Yeah, it was one of the interviews we weren't really looking forward to.
Yeah, but it turned out to be actually one of the best. So what he does is him and his team, a total of 10, I think it was, 10 within the team and 10 externally, so from different universities, mainly American, I think.
Yeah.
Focus on pathogen surveillance. And their whole idea is by using machine talk. Did I say that right? Talking machine?
It was a what?
Machine talk or talking machine?
Oh, something like that.
It was, This is beyond me.
Yeah.
But it uses it to find emerging diseases that are coming out. So if there was going to be a zombie outbreak, he would know where that was most likely to occur in the world. Yeah,
well, I was fascinated to find out that this was even something that Microsoft were investing money and time into.
Yeah. Well, it's very, I don't see the profit that can be made from it. I guess unless you're a pharmaceutical company, but it does, and he didn't really say as to what the intention of it was. Just said that it'd be useful for governments.
It's a lot like when NASA is, investing money in going to the moon and stuff. It's the tech that they come up with. Does have things elsewhere that they can use that tech in?
Yeah.
Other applications?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what else you could use those specific algorithms that they're making for this.
Yeah.
For predicting when diseases are going to emerge.
Yeah, when we put
else.
this interview out, this is one of the ones I think everybody has to actually listen to.
Yeah, really fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And
we had a decent amount of time with him too.
Yeah, what made it fascinating actually wasn't so much what the end result is. What was fascinating was the amount of work that goes into it. So it was just constantly problem solving.
Yeah.
And so
every problem they solved had its own problems.
Yeah. So it was just an ongoing chain of problems, really. Actually, when you put it like that, it doesn't sound so great.
No, but it was the problem solving would cause a problem, and I found that whole process fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So it gets, what I liked about this one, for me, being a real gadget geek, I liked that because Microsoft Ignite is so software heavy.
Yeah.
This time around. And it's very much all about the cloud and cloud computing, and trying to convince a lot of IT pros that, if they're not convinced already, that the cloud's the way to go.
Yeah.
So it was actually cool to actually interview somebody that not only dealt with the software but also the hardware.
Yeah.
The hardware side of it and the problem solving that went into that. And of course it's real basic stuff. Normal problems, tech problems that you'd come across, but used in a really, really inspiring and helpful way. He definitely did make me feel like I've wasted my life. Like, what have I done for the world? And all I could think of was Facebook posts and tweets.
Yeah. That is your legacy.
That's my legacy. This kid's going to be leaving a program that can predict when diseases emerge. I'm going to leave at least 3 funny tweets.
So after that, we had Darren Hubert.
Yeah. Yes.
And we got a very short amount of time with Darren because someone else hogged a lot of the time. But he is from the services side of Microsoft. Yeah,
he's the VP.
And yeah. No, it was funny because we didn't really go in depth when we had to talk to him about what Microsoft services are as such, but we more talked about his history and his background and how he got into working in it, because it was quite fascinating that he didn't really have a tech background.
No, so that was I found that talk, as short as it was, that interview with him, really, really good from that perspective. But normally I think he was doing or did a talk on the Internet of Things and design. Yeah. Oh, that's what he was about, design influence.
Yeah.
Design and architecture for Internet of Things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, nice, quick, real short talk. And then after that...
after that is where we had Chris from
Pixar. I don't know.
And this one, we managed to get a really good amount of time with him.
Yeah, because we were the last ones and he just kept talking. One of the interesting things that you don't actually hear in his... in this interview that we did with him was I asked him, was it you that asked the question?
Oh, I'll take credit.
I was just elaborating on the whole, when he started going into the stories of Pixar. Because he speaks about what he does to chill out, which is quite intensive.
Yeah. And that was, taking photos of stars and stuff.
Yeah. Astrophotography.
Yeah.
Is what he uses. So it was, I wouldn't have picked that. But anyway, Pixar dude. And I kind of buzzed out because it was Pixar. It was a guy from Pixar. I'm talking to a guy from Pixar.
I was buzzing out about that. Like the very people that made the movies that we spend horrific amounts of money to buy merchandise for our kids for.
Yeah. It was all his fault. But what was interesting was he mentioned about how when Steve Jobs bought Pixar, and created Pixar, I can't remember, not that great on that history, but in 1998, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 98. And he was talking about then that one of the divisions that he bought was always intended to be a software company.
Yeah, well,
software and
Pixar in the
hardware
whole,
come in.
it was, yeah, Pixar in the whole is what he said was always intended to be a software company, and it just sort of decided to pitch a movie, which
Yeah,
they
to
did.
show off their tools.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Pixar's, well, yes, they make animation, and that's kind of all I really knew them for.
yeah,
A lot of it's also around what they call RenderMan, or this product called RenderMan, which is,
it's actually older than Pixar as a movie company.
yeah, and is based on creating that photorealism, or not creating,
Yeah.
rendering those images for, photorealistic. He uses that word a lot. I'm thinking that's the buzzword for animation. And how they actually, the same tool that's available for all these big, large animation studios is also, while they pay for that, it's actually free for hobbyists, like as long as it's non-commercial. If it's not for commercial purposes, you can actually access all of this free.
Yeah, so anybody who wants or is an animator or wants to get into animation can use the very same tool that Pixar themselves use, or actually all the big Hollywood studios use.
Yeah, so if you've, and I know a lot of students and artists and stuff who work on, doing their own little 3D kind of thing with, I don't know, Adobe or something.
A lot of them use. Actually, it's funny because the same guy was worked for Maya right from the very first iteration of Maya, and that's what a lot of people when they're studying learn on.
Yeah. So, that's right. Yeah, Maya 0.1.
And he's been working on it since the version 1.
Yeah. So that was and so that's actually free for if you want to have a jam, create your own little.
So if you want to
phone.
use it at home, you can get it for free. If you're a school, you can get it for free to teach on, and there's resources there as well with a forum, and it's amazing.
Yeah, but if you've ever used anything like that, and you would have found how tiresome rendering actually is. It was amazing how quick it rendered this full. I think it was only I'd say about 5 seconds of full animation though, and this is like all of the layers.
Yeah,
like this was quite an intensive animation, and it was like done just like that, and I was like, wow. I want it.
And that's really why Microsoft brought him along, was to show off the power of using Azure to render on the cloud.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the purpose from Bain, definitely. But that's not what we talk about. And then after that, I had Women in Tech.
Yes, now I didn't go along to this, clearly, quite obviously.
Yeah,
how
you
did that
should've.
go? Like, what did you get up to?
You actually should have come along. There was quite a few guys
Okay.
that were there. And so they had the Women in Tech, and it was held in this big conference. And of course, it had bubbles.
Oh, the one place that had bubbles. Every time we go to an event, it's always some dry, horrible one that I don't drink.
Yeah, but this was they had bubbles, red wine, white wine, beer, orange juice, water, and that was before we went in. So and then the waiters came around. It was very fancy. I was quite stoked, and there was actually quite a few women who showed up to the event who actually hadn't been to the MS Ignite, so they only came along for this specific talk. And this talk was actually sponsored by Hewlett Packard, HP. And so they had the HP chip talk. I don't know if that's like supporting the sisterhood, calling them chicks, but I'm just going to go with that. And so she spoke on how HP are trying to encourage women to, young girls especially, to take up IT.
Yeah.
And they've got quite a few programs. So they've got, I think there's some shadow program, Shadow a Leader, which is when a whole group of girls come in and they just follow around one of the leaders, and they show them, you know, all the different types of IT and the labs and all that kind of stuff. And just to try and get them interested and engaged, because you think about it, most girls probably don't consider a career in IT.
Yeah.
You know, they want to be lawyers or something. And then we had Microsoft also spoke on a couple of programs that they do to encourage girls. And then they had the speakers.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to find, because I can't remember for the life
And you got freebies.
Oh, yeah, that was cool. Trelise Cooper.
Yeah.
Did a design for a laptop bag.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really actually quite cool, but we didn't get that till the end of the event. We got told about it at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then
They dropped it on you at the end.
yeah, and then we got it on the way out. It was actually really, really cool. Really cool. So wait a minute, I'm going to remember what her name is. Oh, so Jenny Stevens.
Yeah.
She actually works at Xero, but she didn't talk about that at all.
Okay.
Yeah, funny, eh? She talked about being a middle-aged woman in a middle management job.
Yeah.
And about what was her whole thing was you can do it.
Yeah. I did see your tweets about that.
Yeah. She doesn't really like the whole feminist thing.
Yeah.
But her talk was very pro-woman, I guess. I think there's some negativity around feminists.
Yeah.
Or some, bad connotations or something. I don't know. What do you think of when you think of a feminist?
I sort of have
Be honest.
Yeah. I sort of do have a negative connotation. I think of this as being 100% honest. I think hairy, pitted woman in a pantsuit.
Huh. Okay. I'm terrible. I think of butch women that hate men. That's always been my view of feminism. So, yeah, probably not great. But after this talk, I think this was actually truly what feminism was about, which is about supporting other women.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being there, especially in the IT industry. So her whole thing was, just do it. So she always wanted to be one of these talkers that got invited to these types of events and got to speak.
Yeah.
But she never really felt important enough. And then she realised, there was this process that she had to go through. It's if you ever get to hear Jenny Stevens speak, it's truly awesome. But anyway, she goes on about she went through this process and came to this realization that she's never going to be important enough in her eyes to be that type of person that's going to be invited to these types of events.
Okay.
To be able to speak at an event like this. So she decided that she would start to make that change by adopting that mantra of "you can do it."
Yeah.
And it was absolutely fascinating talk. I was probably most inspired by her.
Okay.
I just thought it was just brutal honesty where she talks about her depression, she talks about her marriage, she talks about her kids. Not having a job that's not going anywhere, starting a business and realised that she thought that what she did was she started a business, started a magazine. It came out, it was really, really cool. And, it was doing okay, and she thought, okay, this is what I want to do. And she realised it's not actually. All she'd done was given herself more work.
Yeah.
She hadn't improved her life at all. She just added work to it. And I think for a lot of women, could completely identify with it.
Yeah.
Where, we just naturally stick on heaps of work and think, we're actually improving our life, but we're not. And
the more I do, the more I'll be respected.
Yeah. And then after her was Louise Upston.
Yep.
So she's the Minister for Women.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a women's minister. She actually touched on the fact that she used to be a young single mother on the DPB.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, we were like, whoa. And she'd been told that because she got pregnant at a real young age.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, well, you can pretty much just give up your dreams of being an MP. And it's fortunate for her, though, that she has a real, what she called a bugger you gene.
Yeah.
Which was like, bugger you, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And, she ended up becoming it. But ever since she was a kid, she wanted to be an MP, but she ended up in IT.
Okay.
Yeah. She actually started her career in the IT industry.
Yeah.
And then managed to make her way eventually to becoming a women's minister.
That's awesome.
So I think the takeaway from that was practice being fearless. That was for women. And it was, there was this really cool thing that she mentioned, and I don't think it's just about, I don't think it relates just to girls. I think this is an overall employee thing. She mentioned about how with females, we tend to prepare a lot for if we've got a presentation or doing something, we'll practice that.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to other people about that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to asking for a pay rise, we won't talk about it. We won't have a chat to the girls about it, and we won't practice it. I was just wondering if that's the same for guys. Do guys, when they're about to go and ask for a pay rise, will they actually talk about it with each other?
With who? With each other? Not really.
With your mates, I'm guessing.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I've never really discussed it with my mates.
Well, ladies, we need to start supporting, discussing, asking about pay rises. But yeah. And then after her was Laura Bell, and she's the founder and lead consultant of SafeStack.
Yeah.
And she talked about security. And of course, she brought up a really, really good recent example, which was Ashley Madison.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. And about passwords and how chances are all that data that got leaked, and it's got the emails and all that kind of stuff in it. And all the passwords and that are probably the same ones they use to access those emails, are probably the same passwords that are used to access their bank account.
This is true, yeah.
Yeah. And she had this real big thing about a lot of the time security is not putting different lots of layers on top of something in order to protect it.
Yeah.
And that's not really protecting it. It's coming up with smarter passwords.
Yeah. So you've got to protect yourself as well as expect the company to protect your passwords.
Yeah. Yeah. And she talked a lot about, well, security, at least, simplifying the process, simplify all of your stuff. And then she touched on that the actual problem isn't so much the hackers, or bad people in the world, but it's rather, it comes down to our own behaviour.
Yeah.
So if you don't want...
Especially when it comes to Ashley Madison.
Yeah. Well, here was a really, really good thing that she took from that, was if you don't want to be caught doing that behaviour, don't do it.
Well, that sounds like common sense.
Yeah. So a lot of this regarding her security.
You have to remember, a lot of these people on that website, common sense wasn't their strong point.
No. So they were like, if you have data that you don't want to be found, or that you don't want anymore, delete it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be tracked doing something, don't go on there, delete your account.
Yeah.
It was just real simple. It was a really simple message, but quite powerful. So she was actually really inspiring as well, just because of the common sense she brought to the security space.
Yeah.
And then that was it. We walked out and got our Trellis Cooper. Quite a few of the girls stayed around to have a couple more drinks and have a few more bites. But of course, I had to do the big drive home. And so I started walking.
You're calling us from the Waikato right now.
Yeah, I am. So I started walking and actually bumped into a girl, and we started talking.
Yeah.
And she was a software engineer for Fisher & Paykel.
Okay.
Medical.
Yeah.
And so she does all the, her and her team do a lot of the algorithms, and she was saying about how she got into, the IT world through doing her masters. And then, of course, while she was doing her masters, she actually got picked up by Fisher & Paykel Medical. And I asked her, is it a very male-dominated, that being the theme is that we're in a male-dominated industry.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah. She didn't really think about it like that until we couldn't remember who it was, but someone in the conference said that the IT industry is, yes, it's a male-dominated industry, but there aren't that many industries that aren't male-dominated.
This is actually a good point.
You could probably pull it down to, I think it was what she said was like early childhood.
Yeah.
And nurses.
Or teaching in general, possibly.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, no, I'd say early childhood. Early childhood is a female-dominated, for sure.
Yeah.
Female-dominated industry, and so is nursing. Both of which they're not valued as high.
Yeah.
But you'd be hard-pressed actually to find an industry that's not male-dominated. So even if you did lawyer, of course, if you did law or something that's mainly male-dominated, if you did marketing, it's mainly male-dominated. It's not just the IT industry, and it's not just about supporting and just women in tech, I think, in general. I think it's about an overall supporting each other and for women to support each other in all of these different industries by adding voice. It was more about being supportive, and I think what I took away from the whole series of talks that was at the Women in Tech, it was all about support each other, instead of being bitchy.
Yeah.
Or catty.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Oh, It actually sounds like something that would have been interesting to go to as a bloke.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
So we were going to have Blair on the show today to sum up some of the sessions and stuff he's been to, but I think making the time for you to talk about the Women in Tech conference is probably more important for today's show.
We'll go with that.
What was that?
We'll go with that for sure.
Yeah. But we'll have Blair on tomorrow's show, and he'll sum up some of the events he's gone to or some of the sessions, and yeah.
Cool.
So that's us for day 2 of Microsoft Ignite New Zealand.
I look forward to hearing what you and Blair get up to tomorrow. Yeah,
definitely. And if you are new to the podcast, make sure you check out other episodes and subscribe to the podcast. Let everybody know. Check out our Facebook page /HashtagRadioNZ. Check out our Twitter account @HashtagRadioNZ, and send us tweets throughout the event as well. If you see me walking around on the floor, come say hi. And that's us. Thanks, Grace.
Thank you.
And I'll be back tomorrow with Blair to talk about the sessions.
Okay, Bear.
#me.co.nz